Greetings, Morales, from your friend, Pontius Pilate, in Gaul. Yes, Gaul. After that farce of a trial Caligula put me through, our illustrious emperor decreed that I needed to spend more time with my family. Relax, get away from my troubles. And what better place to get away from your troubles than Gaul? Gaul. Where with every breath I take, my worries just faint under the aroma of the locals' annual bathing habits. Oh, Gaul. And yet, it is 100 times better than that city of death where you are, Morales. I ruled Jerusalem for 10 years, longer than any other government. If you want to know the truth about ruling Judea for Rome, hear this. I strode into Jerusalem, a proud soldier of Rome. My troops wore their finest armor, marched in perfect unison. We descended upon the city like a molten river of iron, and carried high above this display of imperial might the standards of Rome, the outstretched eagle, and the image of Caesar. But when we arrived at the gates, a single Jewish priest stood in our path and warned us to remove the images from our standards, lest we offend the one true God. The one true God. The only truth is power. Imagine the audacity to claim that the God of a conquered people should dare object to the image of divine Caesar. Naturally, I laughed at the priest and his pathetic God and carried our images into the city. And from that day forward, I have lived in Hades. The Jews immediately started rioting. For 5 days, I tried to talk sense into them, to explain to them that a God who can't protect his people on the battlefield is not a God worth following. But they are stubborn people. Eventually, I told them that if they didn't disperse, I would start killing them one by one. But with each Jew I killed, the rest only became stronger in their resolve. Until I realized that these people are crazy. They would rather die than see their traditions disrespected. So I removed the images. But my troubles didn't end there. They refused to offer sacrifices to the cult of Caesar. They won't even use money that bear his image. And even human decency can't draw them away from their obsession with the Sabbath. A centurion's boy nearly died because he grew ill on a Saturday, and only one Jew could be found in the whole city to heal him. But worst of all, the Passover. Every year comes the Passover, and with it, every crazed Jew in our empire. And they sit and eat their flat bread and drink their wine and tell each other that next year they will dine in free Jerusalem. And then, filled with wine and stories and nationalism, they charge out into the streets, intending to liberate Jerusalem right that instant. And each year, my soldiers remind them of why they are not free, of why Caesar is their one true God. And so it went, for 9 years. And then, one morning before Passover, the high priest and his lackeys came pounding at my door. Fearing another Seder riot, I rushed out and ordered the guards to let him in. But, of course, the high priest wouldn't dare defile himself with my presence before the high holidays. Instead, he threw a young Jewish peasant at my guards. I was in no mood to deal with their riffraff. And so I told them to deal with the criminal themselves. But they replied, "We are not permitted to put a man to death." Well, that got my attention. I'd been killing Jews for 9 years. This is the first time they offered to help. The chief priest said the man claimed to be their king. So I took him inside to find out if it was true. Not that I really cared, but he ticked off the priest, and that kind of made me like him. He said, "My kingdom is not from this world. If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here." Well, he certainly didn't sound like a threat to Roman authority. Still, I found it amusing that a man in rags would claim to have a kingdom. And when I pushed him on the subject, he said, "You say that I am a king. For this I was born. For this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Whoever belongs to the truth listens to my voice." Another crackpot philosopher ranting about truth when he can't even explain what it is. So I went out and I told the priest that I couldn't find anything wrong with him, legally at least. But they just kept shouting, "Crucify him!" I tried appealing to the crowd who had gathered at that point and told them that if they wanted, I would pardon the man of any crimes he had committed and release him. But the priests had them all riled up. They wanted blood. Well, blood is what legionnaires deliver best. So I handed him over to my men, and I let them work him over for a while. Then I took him back out to the crowd, and I presented him as sufficiently punished. But they weren't satisfied. They wanted him on a cross. I said he had done nothing wrong, and they shouted, "He claims to be the Son of God!" Which is weird, but Rome doesn't care. So I headed back inside, but the chief priest followed me in and said, "If you release this man, you are no friend of the emperor. Everyone who claims to be a king sets himself against the emperor." And with that, he reached out and grabbed the brooch on my tunic. The brooch which held the image of Caesar. And he went out and stood before the crowd and shouted, "We have no king but Caesar." And the crowd roared back, "We have no king but Caesar."